Okay, we are live, but we got to let it breathe just for a moment. Got to let it breathe, and then Zach and I, hand in hand, will descend into the abyss with y'all. It's going to be a gas. Welcome in, everybody. It is the gut reaction episode, the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him. He's the deputy editor of Mile High Huddle, Zack Kelberman. Zach, I've really sucked this year, in particular, picking Bronco games. For whatever reason, I just didn't see this being a win. I didn't foresee it being a blowout, but the Broncos got blown out. I get it, on the road, East Coast. There's a couple of excuses ready made that the team can or the excuse makers can lean on. But Zach, what is your gut reaction to what I can only call official rock bottom for the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, there is no excuse. The Carolina Panthers are the second worst team in the NFL, maybe behind Houston, and the Broncos just got blown out by them. It took them until garbage time of the fourth quarter to finally get in the end zone, and you saw how hard it is for the Broncos just to score a touchdown. I don't get it, but I do at the same time, and it's become abundantly clear. Same thing I tweeted is how I feel right now, and I'm red on the screen because I'm red internally after witnessing a same old Broncos loss. I have no narrative to push. I have no bias to confirm. I advocated strongly for his hiring. As Chad knows, Scott knows, one of you know in the chat. I wanted Nathaniel Hackett, but it's time for the Broncos to fire Nathaniel Hackett. Rip the freaking Band-Aid off. The team has quit on him completely. The defense, too, now is declining. No coincidence there. They're throwing their hands up. Mike Purcell's out there screaming at Russell Wilson. And if you watch the replay of that video, Nathaniel Hackett's right there within shouting distance. His reaction or lack thereof tells you everything. He stood there just like that, just like that. He's not a leader. He's not a head coach. He needs his pink slip ASAP. That's how I feel.
Imagine getting a job, Zach, and it's a coveted job, and it's one of the rarest in the world. And I mean, we're talking elite. There's only 32 of these jobs on the planet. You're going to make millions of dollars. And as part of your interview, you say, you know what? If you hire me, I'll hire someone to teach me how to do my job. Do I get the gig? And George Payton's like, you know what? You're thinking enough just outside the box that this could work. This is the upside down world we're living in. But Deanna, she's throwing down from the top rope, helping us amidst these dark times in the Mile High City.
Thank you, Deanna.
Keep the lights on. So thank you, Deanna. She says with a very generous super chat, hey, Chad and Zach, the offense looked horrific. Hackett needs fired today. Unbelievable. The team just looked like they gave up in the second quarter. MHH for life. We really appreciate you, Deanna. And yes, I agree. I'm trying to remember now. I think it was like 3 minutes left in the second quarter, and the Broncos had -1 passing yards. So, Zach, my question to you riffs off what Deanna is getting off her chest here with the super chat, which is, I call this rock bottom. Is this where it happens? Was this the game, Zach, where the owners just go, look, I know that he's getting fired anyway, but we got to do something to save some face here and fire Nathaniel Hackett when he gets home tomorrow?
I feel like we keep moving the goalpost on what rock bottom really is for the Broncos. You could argue they were sinking to that point even after week one. Had pretty much a no-show in Seattle. That game set the tone for the entire season. The following week, the fans were counting down the play clock. They couldn't get a punt returner on the field. It's been one low after another. I thought losing to Josh McDaniels, getting swept by him, of all people, would be rock bottom. But when you go to Carolina and that stadium is half full because the Panthers are that bad, there were more Broncos fans there, and you score 3 points until garbage time, Chad. You have no urgency. I mean, they're down by 20 points, whatever it was, Chad, multiple possessions, and they're running the football, just taking their sweet old time. Yeah. They've checked out. And when a team checks out, just like the Panthers did under Matt Rule, they fired Matt Rule. They need to fire Nathaniel Hackett now. Payton needs to show some accountability, or else the longer he tolerates this, enables it reflects on him.
Jonathan Peterson, jumping in with a super chat. Very generous, early, before we even went live. Thank you, big dog. So, says Jonathan, Hackett's fired after this game, right? Russ looked worse than a rookie and got outplayed by Darnold. 8 exclamation point tries to get into the end zone. This is a team in rebuild mode without the pieces to do so. Yeah, Russell Wilson, man. I mean, your guys' guess is good as ours, in all honesty. Like, nobody can really fathom what's happening with Russell Wilson. Zach, the closest I can get is that this just simply is not anywhere close to the right coaching fit for him. And now my concern is, has he been ruined, right? Ruint. Has he been ruined by Nathaniel Hackett? That's my fear. I hope not. I'm gonna go on the assumption based on his decorated career that the answer to that is no, but it is a concern.
I'm starting to think Seattle might have known a thing or two about Russell Wilson. That's why they wanted to get rid of him so badly and install Geno Smith as the starter. You know, I keep hoping that Hackett's the problem because it's easy to cut bait with Hackett and retain Russell. You're married to Russell Wilson for at least 3 years or so. But when I see him out there on the field, you know, -1 passing yards, he had 80-something passing yards in the fourth quarter. He looks like he does not want to be out there. I don't know the genesis of that look or attitude he gives off, Chad, but he doesn't look like a field general. He doesn't look like he loves football right now. I understand the Broncos, it's a transition to a new team, new teammates in the locker room, whatever. They've had a losing season. He's been hit. He's been badly coached, but it also falls on him. Still holding on to the football way freaking too long. It just seems like he's shot. It seems like a car that got one of his wheels blown off, and they're just, you know, gliding down the road now. And when Mike Purcell screamed at Russell Wilson, Wilson took it. I mean, he stood there
like
and he just accepted it. Yeah, it's like, you're Mike Purcell. Who are you to me? You're a backup defensive tackle, and I'm the $250 million quarterback. And he stood there pretty beta and took the insult. He has no fire. I don't know if the Broncos wore him down or if that fire was extinguished before he got to Denver. We can only hope it's the former, as sad as that is.
Man, I want to know what was said. I want to know what Mike Purcell, because you're right.
That's right.
Like, where do you get off in a sense? But at the same time, it's like, hey, respect the cojones on a guy who has the cashews, the fortitude, whatever, to pull that card on a guy that's making more money than he'll ever sniff, and his kids and his kids' kids just this year. You know what I mean? Naj, what's up, bro? We love you. We appreciate you. We're right there with you, dog. We're in the doldrums with you. Like I said, when we kicked off the stream, hand in hand, Zach and I are diving into the abyss. We're there with you, bud. He says, today is the lowest point I have felt in my 38 years as of being a Broncos fan. It's not just the horrifically painful offense. It's the total loss of hope for the future. I don't want to watch another game, but sadly, I will. I know we're all addicted. I feel for all of Broncos country. We feel for you. It sucks. Zach, what makes this, what he's getting at here about the loss of hope for the future, right, is Russell Wilson looks broken, washed. You can use whatever word you want, but he looks like he's irredeemable, like it's over. And if it's over, pardon me, the only way the Broncos kind of survive that is if he is a big man and says, I retire, and releases that money back to the Denver Broncos or whatever. But that's not going to happen, dude. It was bad enough today, Zach, that the guys calling the freaking game were talking about and mulling over, well, maybe you sit Russell Wilson, right? I mean, you know, maybe we need to see Brett Rippon. When it's that bad, that's why Naj is going, you know, we barely, by the skin of our teeth, had to trade away a great player to get a first-round pick so that we have a first-round pick this year, this next draft. We don't have one or a two the season after that. I understand what he's trying to say about loss of hope for the future.
You know what, the announcing crew on Fox also, I can't remember his name, the play-by-play guy. He said Broncos fans deserve better. And ain't that the truth? It's been that way for quite a while, but it's easier to stomach when it's Vic Fangio and Teddy Bridgewater versus the coach that everyone wanted or was excited about. Then you bring in a 9-time Pro Bowler via one of the biggest trades in league history in Russell Wilson. The expectations, understandably, were through the roof. And we added to that, but we didn't know. No one knew it was going to be this bad to this extent. We all thought there were going to be hiccups, No one thought, 17-0, but my God, -1 passing yards at some point in the game when you just are playing one of the worst teams and you have nothing to lose at this point. You should be going out there and playing football and having fun and look like they don't even want to be on the field. But you hit on something, Chad. I was going to say, he's broken right now, but the question becomes, is it irreparable? Because if it's irreparable, irredeemable, like you said, the Broncos are in, hell for quite a while. But if he's broken and you can fix him a la maybe Daniel Jones with the right head coach or play call or whatever, then the future is not looking so murky. But right now, if you would ask me 3 months ago, how would you feel on November 27th? I have never been more depressed in my time covering the Broncos. Mute.
My bad. Russell Wilson needs a head coach that he can follow. In other words, a guy with enough cachet, a guy with enough clout that when the coach opens his mouth to listen, Russell Wilson is all ears. I don't think it's ever been that way with Nathaniel Hackett. I think Nathaniel Hackett's like the goofy uncle that knows the offense, and so there might come a time here and there where I'll ask you something, but just leave me alone, Uncle Nate. I'm doing my thing. Get out of my hair, Nate. Let me do my thing. Ryan, thank you, big dog. Good evening, fellas and Broncos country. Wilson, he says, is washed. Sutton is extremely overrated. And thanks, Mike Purcell. Something had to be said to Wilson. Yeah, we gotta know what that was, man. Zeus in the house, dude. Zeus McPeak. Don't know if we'd still be doing these live stream pods, or at least at the level that we do them, were it not for the support and presence, encouragement, community drive of Mr. Stu McPeak. Thank you, big dog. First face etched in the MHH Super Chat Superstar Mount Rushmore. Love you, big dog. He says, I never wish for anyone to be fired, but Hackett needs to go. Hashtag accountable. Zach, what do you gain if you're the Broncos by holding on to him? Try and put yourself in their thought process for a second. Why would you maybe drag your heels?
Because the guy firing him was the guy who hired him, and he has a new owner looking over his shoulder, and he doesn't want it reflected on him. That's the only thing I can think of, but you already removed play calling duty from Nathaniel Hackett. He has no purpose now. So if you hang on to him, Chad, you're doing more harm than good. I have a couple points real quick. Stu, appreciate you so much. You are a legend. Seriously, always good to see you. But if the Broncos are losing someone like Stu, who, as he says, never wishes for anyone to be fired, he's generally an optimistic fan, that tells you all you need to know if the Broncos are at rock bottom. Number two, really quickly, Hackett's holding his post-game presser right now. He said he didn't see Mike Purcell yelling at Russell Wilson. He was literally standing about 3 feet away. So the wheels are coming all the way off of this Broncos bus quickly.
Most definitely. Diamond Rattler, hey, bro, I know you're in just about datgum every single chat. We appreciate your dedication, your consistency, what you mean to the community, keeping the conversation going. Thank you for the super chat as well, my friend. And I don't have it displayed right this moment, but it shall be. I still love that piece that you made up and sent. The medallion, very cool. I'll flash it on the next stream. Jess, appreciate you, bro. This is lower than Vance Joseph, Vic Fangio, and Josh McDaniels. I kind of said as much myself, bro, on Twitter earlier. I agree with you. Chris Hernandez, nothing but much love and respect for this man who we got to kick it with. It was really cool, and his lovely wife at the meet and greet a couple months back. You're the man, Chris. He says, I've got nothing to say. I've got nothing to do. Hashtag coaching.
Yes, sir.
Hashtag I'm with Purcell. Gosh, don't you want to know what he was saying? I'm just dying to find out. That's got to come out somewhere, somehow.
I hate your Subway sandwich. I don't know what he could have possibly screamed at him. I think it's just frustration from the entire season, Chad, boiling over. Honestly, the defense has busted their ass every single game, keeping the offense in it. And same thing we talk about every podcast. And the offense scores, 3 points until the fourth quarter. I don't blame Mike Purcell at all. And Chris, I'm right there with you, man. I am Team Purcell on this little argument.
Patriot Tex, you're the man, dude. Thank you for the super chat. He says, if Russ was a man of principle, he'd retire at season's end. There is nothing positive for this team to look forward to. I honestly can't care anymore. There are no avenues for this team to rebuild. Well, you care. you're here with us. It sucks. And in that sense, I don't think all hope is lost. All right. We're all in this together. We're still breaking it down. It might be boiled down. It might just be us commiserating. If to be frank, it might be. But no, the passion that surrounds this team, it's there for a reason, even in the dark times, which it's been since Super Bowl 50. But I feel you. It's hard to find a positive. I mean, today, what can you take away positive from this game other than a 52-yard rush by Latavius Murray? The first time the Denver Broncos get a rush over 20-plus yards of the season, he busts off a double one, right? He goes 52 for you. 2 plays later, Russ strip sack fumble. Panthers get the ball back. Cut to, what was the other? They muff a punt, right? The Panthers muff that punt. Broncos recover. Best you can do, deep in enemy territory, is 3 points.
Yep.
When the football gods give you these gifts, you got to do more than with them, Zach, than what they've been able to do. Then we'll get fractalized here.
Yeah, another McManus missed today as well, so that's kind of par for the course for him. Positives from this game, I mean, on a very micro level, maybe Dulcich. He looks like he could be the future at tight end. Brandon Johnson looked pretty good today at wide receiver. I mean, at this point, it's all about 2023 and figuring out the players that you want to retain for next year and those that you want to get rid of. But, when you lose a game like this, when you're mired at 3-8, not a lot to like, not a lot of positives to go over.
Fractalized, this is a newer name. Welcome, my dog. Thank you very much for that very, very generous super chat. He says, and by the way, make sure you connect with us. This goes for all of you, especially super chat superstars, those people that are the most engaged and supportive directly of what we do here. Connect with us on Twitter so that we can keep in touch with you, keep the conversation going, and then, of course, tag you after each and every episode. But Fractalized, Zach says, as a new fan of the show, MHH has been the best part of the season. You're a prince.
Thank you.
Having others to relate to may be the only thing that keeps me watching their games. Hashtag Broncoholics Anonymous. Hashtag MHH for life. I feel you, big dog. And thank you very much. That's very kind. And we're glad that you found us. Welcome to the manger, homie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to start sniffing our own farts here, Chad, but I feel like we do a good job of being relatable for the average fan and not blowing smoke, not being too negative, just telling it like it is. So Fractalized, definitely appreciate you tuning in and your generosity there. Hopefully you can continue tuning in to future shows despite what the Broncos put on the field every week.
Hey, Scott, after Jordan, I want to do a little matter of business. Or Jordan, it's just Jordan, right? We settled this once in the distant past. It's Jordan, spelled kind of cool. Are you remembering this right, Zach, the same way I am, or am I tripping?
I mean, the I makes me want to say Jordan, but
I know. But, dude, Maul, you could be a Sith Lord, dude. That's a rad name. I'm officially embarrassed to call myself a Broncos fan. I live in Southwest Washington, and all my friends are laughing about the Russell trade, a top 3 pick for sure. Well, that's if you had a first-round pick of your own. Right. So the first round pick the Denver Broncos currently possess was acquired via the Bradley Chubb trade from Miami, but that actual first round pick belongs to San Francisco. So as you're rooting for where are we at in the draft and you're kind of settling your rooting interest for the season as the Broncos continue to torpedo, pay close attention to how San Francisco finishes, because that's where the Broncos will be drafting in the first round, if indeed they draft in the first round. And don't use that to try and coax Sean Payton out of retirement.
Fingers crossed for that. I can't even imagine. It's Jordan, by the way, he confirmed it. So I can't even imagine living in enemy territory. All those Seahawks fans, they're still in my mentions on Twitter from week 1 because of all the crap I talked. And I don't blame them. They can clap back at me because the Broncos let me down. The thing, though, I wanted to make this point. It's not entirely hopeless if you want to go through a rebuild. The Broncos do have a few avenues, and it might be a silver lining or whatever, but you do have that first-round pick you acquired from Miami via San Francisco. You have the richest owner in the NFL, so if you want to hire a coach like Sean Payton, that's off the salary cap. They have their own salary cap for that, so the Broncos can do that. And despite the Russell Wilson contract, they'll have some money to play around with because they didn't bring back Bradley Chubb. So they can make some moves next offseason to put them back in contention. But first things first, you got to find the right head coach. Same story every year.
Guys, we are pleased to inform you we have officially launched our TikTok channel. All right. make sure you head over. If you're a TikTok user, I'm putting the link in the chat right now, and give us a follow because we have some really fun, cool plans for TikTok. My teenage sons finally swung the argument. Zach's been pounding the table. Zach's been like, TikTok, let's go. I'm just kidding. But we're on TikTok now, guys, and we have some fun, cool plans for the platform and how we want to continue breaking down the Broncos and keeping the conversation going there. So do your football priests a solid and go give us a follow at TikTok. The handle, as you can see, mile_high_huddle, just like our Instagram account. So go check us out on TikTok. Okay, Wero in the house. What's up, big dog? He says, nothing to say anymore. Making myself Moscow Mules in an attempt to forget I'm a Broncos fan. Firing Hackett won't change this season. There's $5. Thank you, buddy. Seriously, thank you for the $5. Okay. You're not wrong. Firing Hackett isn't going to change the ultimate outcome of this season. It might give him a temporary, short-lived lift, as Scott mentioned in our chat, Zach. The Panthers interim head coach, Wilkes, etc. He's 3-0 since taking over as interim. Or at home, pardon me. Right? Top 3 at home. Yes. So you never know how it can, when it's a black hole, and that's what it is right now. It's just this hovering over the Broncos is this dark cloud of bad juju that it seems like it's following the Broncos, Zach, but what it's actually doing is following Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. I think mainly Nathaniel Hackett. And so if you get rid of Nathaniel Hackett, maybe there's still a little that covers you a little bit, but you disperse it, you cloud burst that bad boy by showing him the door.
You said that about Wilkes, and the first thing that came to my mind was Wilkes has as many wins at home as an interim coach as Nathaniel Hackett does the entire season. And when I say coaching, it's not just a t-shirt or a slogan or a cliche or whatever. It is the God's honest truth. And maybe this is more confirmation bias for the Broncos going after a retread. Wilkes had 1 year as the Arizona Cardinals head coach, but at least he had that 1 year. Nathaniel Hackett never had any experience, and we're seeing what happens. So it's really sad state of affairs when Hackett's your head coach.
Ray J, got tickets to this game for my birthday and would have accepted a bad game, but this was historically mediocre. Might not watch another game this year. And that's the way, Ray J, I'm sorry it shook out that way for you, big dog, being there for your birthday and all. That sucks, dude. But it's this kind of a clapback, this kind of a feedback from the fan base that, if nothing else, Zach, might spur some action from the capitalist-oriented Walton Penner Group.
Yeah, RJ, happy birthday. Sorry it was so craptastic because of the Broncos. But yeah, the Waltons aren't beholden, certainly not to Nathaniel Hackett or George Payton or anyone in the Broncos building. They're beholden to the fan base, because the fans bring in the money, the revenue stream, and they don't want to lose that revenue stream. You mentioned they're capitalists, they're billionaires for a reason. So I'm not advocating to boycott Broncos games or don't watch Broncos games. I'm not going to tell you guys how to be a fan, but that's, if you want to hit them in their pockets.
Yep. David Wilder, thank you, big dog. Another great member of our community throwing down. He says Hackett should be fired today and not come home on the team plane. It's like, no, hey, Nate, not only are you fired, I know you live in Denver now, but you're not going to be able to ride on the
best I can do with an Uber.
Yeah, take an Uber across the fruited plain, my friend. Thank you, David. You're the man. This is unfortunate, Zach, that I have to bring this up, but 2 weeks in a row, Patrick Surtain's getting torched, and no longer is he the guy that opposing quarterbacks avoid. Now they're going at him with aplomb. What's going on there, you think?
Well, I mean, anytime he lets up a reception now, because he's been so good and he set the bar so high, fans are scrutinizing him, and fans are kind of lumping him in with the rest of the team. But the defense has kind of taken a slight downturn, and I question whether they just finally threw in the towel. Mike Purcell screaming visibly, publicly on the sideline in front of the head coach, a defensive player screaming at the quarterback and the offensive captain. I just think the defense checked out. Like I said, they've been busting their behinds every single game, and the offense has just took the week off pretty much every time. So I think it's just an overall going through the motions mindset on defense now.
Naj again, number 2 tonight.
Thank you, Naj, so much.
You're the man, dude. Love you, big dog. He says, today was the game we sadly envisioned was on the horizon, lacking effort, lacking energy, the disinterest of the defense, and Hackett looking like he's still enjoying Thanksgiving off. We badly need an experienced coach to hopefully change the woeful culture. Zach, on this topic, if you are Sean Payton and you retired from the game, you left your post with years left on your contract, you know the Saints control your rights. What could coax you out of retirement more? The prospect of working with a young elite quarterback like a Justin Herbert potentially, like we hear rumors that he could be interested in a job like that if it opened up, or many tens of millions of dollars that the Walton Penner Group could bestow upon him.
I think regardless, he's made enough money, first of all, as a coach where he doesn't really need to chase the money. It's chasing his best opportunity, whatever he wants. Pretty good position to be in if I say so myself. You know, why would he come to Denver? Money aside, it's a reclamation project. I mean, this is a laughing stock franchise now. They're no longer a premier franchise that sets the standard of the championship standard. They're the opposite of that. They are a clown show. So if I'm Sean Payton, if it's, 10 million to come to Denver versus 8 million to come to LA and coach Herbert versus take on a 34-year-old by then going on 35-year-old Russell Wilson who looks completely broken, I don't know why he'd come here. The other rumor is he likes Arizona as an opportunity. I don't know, that's sad when Kyler Murray, who'd rather play Call of Duty than quarterback his team, is a more attractive option for you than Russell Wilson, a 9-time Pro Bowler, former Super Bowl champion.
I'm just, do you think we get, hey, Scott, do you think we get copyright claimed if I show that clip of Purcell screaming at Russ? Nod for yes, like this for no. What do you think? I don't think so either. Let's flash it because it's not actually showing the product on the field. I think we're okay. In case you guys missed it, I'm seeing a lot of comments both on Twitter and in our live chat, Zach, of people turning the game off in the first quarter, which is fully understandable. But check this out, okay?
As he's coming off the field here, or Purcell is just going over to him and saying, hey, man, I care about this. How about you guys?
Hackett has no reaction whatsoever, and he said he didn't hear him. He's standing right there. So he's a liar on top of being a bad head coach.
Remind me what happened on the field the play before.
I can't recall that. No.
Scott, I'm gonna try and find it. There was yellow laundry. I'll circle back. Keith, haven't felt this low since McDaniel's era and the 50-point loss to the Raiders. Yeah, that was brutal, man. That was brutal. Yeah, I still am, as you might tell, I'm a little traumatized still by that. I'm gonna start shaking back and forth and sucking my thumb. Just kidding, but Keith, I know it's bad, dog. It's bad. I could, Larry, thank you, big dog. I could envision Zach maybe he did something. I'm trying to remember, like all this crap of these games starts blending together, right? Maybe it was something like, I don't know. He might have even just offered a word of encouragement, dude. And Purcell was like, shut the front door. I don't want to hear it from you right now, dude. Go out and carry some water, man. You're putting this all on our, I don't know what it was, but I think as we stretch further into this week, we'll start to hear some things from the guys that are actually the media guys that are in that locker room that can, hey, off the record, what you know what that was about? We'll hear about it. Victor, thank you, bro. That's a newer name. Victor T. Have the Broncos ever had a first overall pick before? It belongs to Seattle either way. So, geez. Yeah, the Broncos draft pick does belong to Seattle, but I think, no, the highest the Broncos have ever drafted, number 2 overall, Von Miller, 2011. That was the all-time highest draft pick they ever earned, so to speak. Whoa, I see Ethan throwing down from the top rope, throwing down hard. The DWI guys, a great member of our community, more than that, a great friend, supporter of what we do, and a diehard Broncos fan from across the pond. Got to hang out with him. Scott did at the Broncos-Jags game. You're a prince, my friend. Thank you for that very
you.
generous super chat, brother. Seriously. We love and appreciate you. Big E. He says everyone knows what needs to be done, and the longer this drags out, the worse it is for the team and the players. Fire Hackett tonight. Yes. Just do it. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Zach, it then turns to, well, who's the interim, right? The guy with the most head coaching experience on this staff is 72 years old by the name of Dom Capers. He's a two-time NFL head coach, a multi-year coordinator, brainchild behind that 2010 Packers world champion defense with Aaron Rodgers. That team. But he's old, dude. He's old. He's so old, Zach, that when he sat down to get his AP picture done for the team, for his profile pic for the team, he had this massive white nostril hair sticking out and didn't even notice. That's how old this dude is. Okay. Need I say more? You could promote Ejiro Evero, who has some swag to his name right now, which it's increasingly beginning to dim with these type of performances where, big plays and the red zone defense not holding up. But this is something that Benjamin Albright emphasized last week, which is if you promote him right now, you own his rights. So you could fire the head coach and go out there, Zach, and look to hire a new guy, and you would still own the rights to Ejiro Evero unless he were to get a promoted job. So in other words, a head coaching job. Then you couldn't do anything or whatever. But if you promote him to interim, it's a new contract, so to speak. And then when that job dissolves at the end of the season, you're no longer in control of his rights. So do you really want to make him your interim guy if you want to try and keep him around in 2023 and beyond? So then who? Clint Kubiak? Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. Gary, this man is not. Bill Kolar, this dude has been relegated to consultant mode, basically, on-field consultant. Who do you turn to? And that might be part of the reason why they're dragging their heels.
Well, you started to say cut, and I'll finish that analogy for you. It's like, I hate to say it, but you have a tumor and you want to cut it out before it becomes malignant. And it was benign for a few weeks in the season, but it's become malignant now. And the longer the Broncos don't cut it out, the worse it's going to be overall for the culture, for just the entire locker room, players, coaches, everyone. If you fire Hackett, which I think they should absolutely do, you just need a warm body to wear the headset for the last 6 games, whatever it is. It would have to be probably Capers because he has coaching. It doesn't really matter that he's old. The Broncos have Vic Fangio. I mean, he has to stand there and maybe uncross his arms every now and then. Clint Kubiak could be something if they want to get a closer look at him, but I just think they're trying to get by until 2023. Evero, do you keep him with a defensive-minded head coach? So let's assume the Broncos fire Nathaniel Hackett. They go out and hire someone like Dan Quinn. Do you keep Evero around, or do you let him go elsewhere? If they do, the Broncos get 2 third-round draft picks because of the new NFL minority hiring process. So there's pros and cons to both, but first thing is first, you got to cut out the tumor, man.
Well said. Deanna, number 2 tonight, number 2 top rope super chat for the night. Thank you so much, my friend. She says, I think if Payton doesn't fire Hackett, his job would be on the block. I agree with Purcell. I just want to know what he said. Love you guys this season. You were the only positive left. MHH for life. So kind. We love you. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah, we'll I think eventually find out what was said. Larry, appreciate that, my friend. He says, definitely need to fire Hackett. Any competent coach will have Russ rolling. Something needs to be done. No accountability at all. Yeah, competency. The Broncos, Zach, are suffering from a competency vacuum on the coaching level. When your most competent guy is Clint Kubiak on the offensive side, you got a big, bad problem. And by the way, I know a lot of injuries have befallen that O-line, but Butch Berry, that experiment, a colossal failure. And you start going through this, it's like, at what point does George Payton not survive this? Like, he's presided over all this stuff, Zach.
I think he deserves one more crack at the head coaching cycle to pick another guy. And with the understanding, George, your job is directly tied to whoever you hire. There's no more mulligans, no more honeymoon period. You win or you go the way of Nathaniel Hackett. It's a tough decision. I don't think it reflects that much on George Payton yet. Like I said, no one really knew or could foresee how bad Nathaniel Hackett was going to be. And I don't think that even George Payton, if he made the hire on an emotion because he liked Nathaniel Hackett, the person, I don't think he could have ever seen the person bleeding into the professional that Hackett is. And you mentioned Butch Barry. All he did was fill his staff with his boys. I mean, Butch Barry just announced these are guys taking up space, and all of Nathaniel Hackett's choices have been mistakes. Everything he touches turns to crap. He's King Midas in reverse.
I'm going to write a song called King Midas in Reverse. I'll remember that. I like that.
That's from our show. I can't steal that, Chad. I'm not going to claim credit for that.
It's from what?
Tony said that.
That's right.
To Melfi. I'm not going to.
That's right. Well, that's okay. Still, you brought it back, dude.
Yeah.
Wero, what's up, brother? He says, dude, you know what I watched right before, while the Broncos were in halftime getting their gizzards handed to them. I got on YouTube and I was watching some clips, and I watched the scene where Paulie breaks into his ma's friend's apartment, and she catches him and starts getting all shrill, so he ends up pulling her card. Anyway, Wero, what's up, bro?
Her eyes were open too.
Talk about gray characters, right? Because you love Paulie, and you see him do something just so dastardly. You're like, how can I continue to root for Paulie?
But you still do, though. That's the amazing part.
Wero says, we keep moving the goalpost on rock bottom because we keep reaching new levels of it we've never seen before. Making Evero head coach won't change the offense. Agreed. The offense, guys, it's not changing this year. It is what it is. Now, you might get it like an emotional lift or emotional, we'll put it this way, a physical improvement from an emotional like lifting of a burden, because everybody's carrying this thing with Hackett right now. And they know his days are numbered. They know it's one thing to not do well in your first year as a head coach. It's another to preside over literally the NFL's key embarrassment. Like, this is sad, dude. I mean, even the play callers now, they're like, calling these games, the play-by-play guys and the color commentary, they're like, Broncos fans deserve better than this. It's that bad when you're hearing that on a week in and week out basis. You do not survive that. Pull the plug. And that helps exercise the demon. I think it takes a lot of the pressure out of these guys, or off of these guys, so to speak, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, it would also display to the players that, listen, guys, despite him being a rookie head coach, despite it being a little unprecedented to end his reign before his first year is up, we're going to do what's best for the team, and we're going to hold people accountable in this building. And the longer you let that go, all the message that you're sending is, we're tolerating this incompetency. We're tolerating being 3-8. We're tolerating losing to the Panthers and the Raiders and every other bad team on the docket. You got to rip the Band-Aid off, because it's only going to get worse from here on out.
Luke, thank you, brother. He says Hackett should get the pink slip Monday. At this point, at least an interim can help inspire us to a few wins. The team that played today won't win against anyone, win or lose. Appreciate you guys. Thanks, brother. Luke Ellis, you're the man, big dog. Very generous of you. Maybe, and that's what I mean. I don't think the coach himself is going to inspire them to new wins. It's just that bad juju, is gone, and that has medicinal effects in the positive on the soul of this team. Deanna with number 3, top rope tonight, so much, throwing down. Thank you so much. Hats off. Check it out. Thank you very much. She says, hit the like button and share on your way in. We need an interim head coach. Anyone is better than Hackett, MHH for life. Seriously, Deanna, thank you. So generous of you. And as she says, guys, look, right now we have about just shy of 1,000 people in the room on YouTube. About half of that on the different Facebook streams, and we're sitting at 35 likes, but that's showing me on Facebook. I'm not sure what we're on YouTube, but guys, if you're in the room with us, even if you don't agree with everything that comes out of our mouths, you at least respect the effort. That's a small little thing you can do to help support us. Thanks for the reminder there, Deanna.
Yeah, thank you so much for your generosity. And I hope everyone understands, even if they fire Hackett tomorrow and put an interim in there, this season doesn't matter anymore. It hasn't really mattered for quite a while now, if we're being honest. It's all about next year and seeing who stays and who goes. So don't expect, if Evero takes over, for example, or Kubiak capers the Broncos, to turn it around and have some strong, momentous end to their year, they are mired in probably the worst place they've been in since Peyton Manning retired. And nothing is going to get them out of it this year.
Yeah, they're stuck this year. It is what it is. Eric Weber, appreciate you, big dog, on Facebook. He says, I'm boycotting the rest of the season. Totally unwatchable and unacceptable for Broncos country. Hoping and praying Walton Penner Group enacts some significant changes and Mr. Limited retires. So Eric's had enough. Hey, we'll still be here, bro. Come back when the edge kind of falls off a little bit. Come back to us, okay? Simon, north of the 49th parallel, proving up there in Canada that Broncos country is not a geographic location. It is a state of being. Been with us a long time. He's a bona fide Super Chat superstar here at MHH. And he says, I'm blown away at how bad we are. I hate even thinking this, but considering the length of time that we are tied to Russ, should the Broncos look to trade PS2 for picks? What's the point of having an all-pro corner when the team is this bad, Zach?
Because that all-pro corner is a big reason why the Broncos are top 5 or were top 5 in a lot of top categories. And when you have a defense like that, spearheaded by a linchpin like that, you're going to keep yourself in a lot of ball games. I'm not forcing Surtain, of all people on this roster, to fall on the sword for Hackett, Russell Wilson, and the rest, the offensive line, whatever. If they just make slight improvements on offense, they get a little better quarterback play, they have better play calling, a better offensive line, better pass catchers, you can easily have been this year, at least 9-8. So I'm not gutting the team. I'm not trading Surtain. He is going to be a superstar for years to come, and they should retain him for as long as possible.
Thank you to Jacob, the silent one, Foster, for throwing down some stars for us on Facebook. Means a lot to us, big dog. Thank you very, very much. Zach, you brought up something that is another one of these unfortunate, inconvenient, in a kind of Al Gore kind of way. It's an inconvenient truth, all right? Might not be talking about global warming and Florida receding into the ocean, but it's kind of that bad for us in Broncos country, Zach, and that is these receivers cannot get separation. So you have this like weird combination and confluence of crap factors, which include O-line is depleted and is not very good, can't protect. Russell Wilson has seemed to have lost it, and he holds on to the ball too long and doesn't throw it away. And then you combine that, Zach, thanks everybody, appreciate you on Facebook. Zach, you combine that with wide receivers not getting separation, that's where you end up with, what they finished with today, 10 points on the road in a game where, let's see, they had red zone, they had two different red zone possessions. What do you do about these wide receivers? Nacho, you're the man, dude. Thank you, buddy.
It's tough when you don't have Judy and KJ Hamler. You don't have Tim. Tim Patrick, to me, was the biggest loss of the season for the Broncos. Even more so than Javonte and Garrett Bowles. Tim Patrick going down was almost a death knell for Russell Wilson in the passing game. But you have younger players stepping up. Jalen Virgil looked pretty good a couple games ago. Brandon Johnson looked decent today. Kendall Hinton, I know you're not the biggest fan of him, but for a number 4, number 5, number 6 guy, he's not the worst. It's
No. That's where I like him. I like him as that 4 or 5 guy. And I do think for that guy, he's great. You saw the heart that he plays with, but then the little things, it's like, make that play. I know that it was a pointless 4th down where it wasn't going to decide the game, but catch that ball. It wasn't a great ball, but catch the ball, Kendall.
He has no business playing the snaps that he's played this year because he should be a number 4, 5, 6 guy, not a number 1, 2, 3 guy. It's just, I guess, I'm a big Zach Azzani fan, but it seemed like they've regressed the entire receiving core under his tutelage this year. They are not getting open. The balls are going through their hand. It's not the Broncos season. The ball has literally not bounced their way, Chad, from week 1, and it's one of those things. I don't know what else to call it.
We have another hashtag state of being super chat. This is from Jay, who says, I'm from DC. As a Broncos fan, I'm literally at my wit's end. My girlfriend gave me a trash bag to put over my head. Shake my head. Chin up, big dog. We're here for you. We're here for each other. So this too shall pass. Chuck, hey, welcome. Thank you for that super chat. Chuck Wagon says, guys, going to finally admit that Russ is the problem. Prefer to lose the fraud QB than Hackett. And Purcell agrees, LOL. Go ahead, Zach.
I think, Chuck, you're in the minority here. If you're, I understand Russell Wilson is part of the problem. I'm not saying that it's all Nathaniel Hackett. Nothing is black and white, at least in my opinion. And even going back to last year with Fangio and the quarterbacking, it's never one thing. It's multiple things. I just think the number one thing on that list is not Russ. He's probably number 2 or number 3 behind the O-line. It's the coaching. It's not just the offense. It's his management, situational awareness, his leadership abilities or lack thereof. I want a Brian Daboll on the sideline. I want a master tactician like Belichick on the sideline. I don't want a guy who's so afraid that he defers to everyone else and wants everyone's input, wants to be everyone's friend and hugs for all. And I love your smile, Melvin Gordon. There's been red flags and I've chose to ignore them because I did advocate for Hackett's hiring, but as a head coach of the entire team, not just the play caller, he has been capital B bad. But Russell Wilson as a quarterback, he's had his warts too. He's not playing nearly anything close to a $250 million quarterback. And he'd be the first one to probably tell you in private. But can you really succeed if you're a quarterback with Hackett being your play caller or coach, with an offensive line that gives you less than half a second to drop back, no running game to speak of, and receivers that can't get open or can't catch? What are you really supposed to do? So my opinion, I think Chad's opinion, a lot of other opinions is let's see one more year under Russell Wilson because the Broncos are married to him. They're not necessarily married to Hackett. They're like dating him right now. Let's see what he can do, Russ, with one more head coach, a guy who's more in tune to his abilities and his talents, what he wants to do, and then go from there. That's the argument that we're making. But Russ also deserves a big share of the blame, Chad, for this season.
Michaela wants to know, and I agree. Nothing you said just now was wrong, 110%. And it just goes to show, again, why the Broncos are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. Michaela wants to know, do you think Hackett is getting fired in season now? I think it'll be pretty hard to resist the temptation after getting swept, Zach, by the Raiders. You're 0-3 in the division. You got 3 wins on the season. What is it now? Is it 3 straight losses? Either way. And then this embarrassment on the road. I'm going to say I think they just pull the plug to save a little face and just try and signal to the fan base that we understand this is not the standard and this is bad enough that we are going to actually do something about it, get back a little bit of goodwill. They took some steps to that end by cutting Melvin Gordon last week, but he was a symptom, not necessarily the actual virus, right, that is plaguing this team.
And even that was way too little too late. They should have done that weeks ago, but Hackett hemmed and hawed and sat on that and got everyone's opinion, didn't want to upset his best friend Melvin Gordon, and finally had to. I feel like they're going to either fire him tonight/tomorrow, or they're going to wait till the end of the year. And I could see it going both ways. And Theo's making a guest appearance on the podcast.
Hey, sorry. Theo just broke into the office. Hey, say go Broncos. Say go Broncos.
Even he's checked out.
Hey, say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Say hello. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. Go find your mama. All right. Thanks for making the visit. Theo Jensen, everybody. David Wilder, a great idea, he says, for a new t-shirt would be draft OL, 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 and OL. Yeah, baby. You ain't a kidding. Rock Chalk Broncos. The Broncos are in a nightmare scenario with Wilson's contract. Payton severely handcuffed this team. Not much hope till they can shed it after 2025. Yeah. Jeffrey, hey, big fan for years. Finally got my stars set up. Thank you, bro. We appreciate it. This is truly one of the lowest I've been. I feel you, dog. Pat says Jack Del Rio as head coach. Are you? Well, I'm gonna take it that you're serious, right? There was a time and a place where Jack Del Rio had some cachet as a head coach, but I think mostly that time has passed, Zach.
If you're to go for a defensive mind, give me Dan Quinn, who at least has a personality, unlike Jack Del Rio. Yeah, I mean, you came, you saw, you conquered, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Moving on from Del Rio.
Proud Pharisee in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you. He says the team is broken. Hackett needs to be fired. I wish everyone listened to me when I called it week 1. Yeah, that's the thing is when the Broncos opted to pay Russ, it would have made a little bit more sense that they did that, Zach, sight unseen. If he was walking into some sort of proven stable coaching environment, but he didn't. He walked into a who's who of rookie first timers, which kind of makes it even worse. Like the farther we inch I should say, the closer we inch to the end of the season, the less certain I am George Payton keeps his job, because it's just been that bad. He's rubber stamped so many of these. Oh man, I just came up with the greatest metaphor that you would love, Zach, that has to do with a certain somebody in a federal position that is retiring. I had it, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
I know who you're talking about.
Damian Clark Warren. So it's safe to say that the pundits and impatient fans have no clue. We got everything we asked for and looked worse than last season. Explain this. No one can, dude. No one can. Like, nobody on this planet saw it being bad. There's some people that thought, they won't make the playoffs this first year. But Zach, go ahead.
No, I'm just laughing. I got to fix my camera. I got to turn the light on. So I'm going to hop out for like a second.
Yeah,
Scott
no
says I'm turning into Barney. I don't want it. It's a bad look. I feel like I licked a toad or something. I'm going to hop off for just a second.
Okay, we'll keep her rolling.
Right.
So yeah, dude, no one saw this coming, Damien. That's the thing, is like, that's why on one hand, the bigger part of me wants to forgive George Payton for this situation and give him one more swing at the plate, because I mean, there really was no empirical evidence, reason to suggest that Russell Wilson was going to go from Pro Bowl caliber guy to rookie. It's like there he is in the house. No one foresaw Russell Wilson devolving to these depths, Zach.
No, least of all me. I'll be the first one to admit that. I was talking, 11 wins minimum, playoff appearance. We're going to beat Kansas City. I want Kansas City week 1. I was making all those affirmations and all those predictions, and I've been getting it thrown back in my face for good reason, because he's looked like not even a rookie quarterback. There's been rookie quarterbacks that have been way more effective than Russell Wilson. He looks like a broken, damaged, going through the motions, wounded quarterback and man. You have to wonder what's really going on in Russ's personal life. Is it really that bad? Can it be that bad? Because I think it's affecting his play now, or has.
Proud Pharisee. Second long-term problem is the Broncos conditioning coach. Something nefarious going on with all these injuries. Hackett was a genius for preseason play. I don't know about that. I think it, in a weird kind of, it's counterintuitive in a weird way. I think it kind of contributed to it in some sense, but it sounds like even George Payton is realizing something's got to change on the strength and conditioning. They're going to quote unquote evaluate that, look at that in the offseason, Zach. Mike Reno says the Saints were kind of a clown show when Payton took over, but getting Drew was a great thing for that team. It sure was. And that, really greased the wheels, obviously, for Sean Payton in New Orleans, but it didn't happen overnight. All right. The New Orleans Saints, what was that, Zach? 2007? I think is the first year where that Drew Brees was in New Orleans. It might have been 06.
I think it was 06.
But they didn't win. Yeah, you're right. Well, hold on now. Did he miss a season after that grievous injury, the shoulder injury against?
I'm actually on the stats right now. Yeah, he was in New Orleans in 06.
Okay, so 06, 07, 08. What was the record, Zach? You're there. Not Super
06,
Bowls.
10-6, 7-9, 8-8.
So average, right? And then 2009, it all comes together. And from then on out, they were, for the most part, there was a couple of regress years, but they were mostly a juggernaut. And yeah, I read the Drew Brees biography. It was a good read. I love reading sports books about excellent players and coaches and all that stuff. And one thing I learned is that Sean Payton is as good of a salesman, Zach, as he is a coach. Let me tell you that, because it was not a no-brainer going to New Orleans, even for a guy like Brees, who was looking for a new home, looking for a team that would treat him like I'll use some Joe Flacco verbiage here, understood starter, okay? But to go into a place that had been ripped apart by Katrina as you're landing, basically, and stepping foot in New Orleans, Sean Payton is a good salesman. Trust on that.
He's an excellent football coach, and I don't know if the point is being made that Drew Brees helped his success there, but the difference is this. When Brees got to New Orleans, he was 27 years old. When Russell Wilson got to Denver, he was 33 going on 34. So you had way more of a future with Drew Brees, and you found him the right head coach. And I don't know that it would ever lead with the Russell Wilson that we've seen so far, if it's going to lead the Broncos to a championship in the future, but it can damn sure lead the Broncos back to competency, average 9-8, 10-7, a wild card appearance, whatever. That would be a gigantic upgrade from anything we've seen in a half decade now, but you got to find the right coach to pair with him. But the question then becomes again, Chad, can you fix him? Is he fixable or is he a lost cause? That's the problem.
It's totally possible that Sean Payton doesn't view Russell Wilson as being fixable and says, thanks, but no thanks. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong, but it's definitely in the realm of possibility. Proud Pharisee, who's more irrelevant, Hackett or Outen? That's a damn good question, dude. That's a damn good question. Outen probably, though.
Yeah, I mean, he was not even calling plays as the OC. No one really even knows what he does. It reminds me of Wedding Crashers. What's he doing back there? Meatloaf. I mean, and then when Hackett had his play calling stripped from him, they didn't even give it to Outen. They gave it to Clint Kubiak. So I don't know why Outen was. I mean, I do know, but I don't know what he does to justify a weekly paycheck.
Mja 2873, good to see you, my friend. He says, the only football I'm watching now is the World Cup. We call that soccer in America. I'm just kidding. You know this. The Broncos are finished. Time to rebuild. James Moss, team is undisciplined. It's my assumption Hackett never had the locker room. They don't believe in each other, and worse, they don't believe in themselves. I got nothing, Andrew Lampy says on Facebook. Thank you, guys, for the support, by the way. He says, still appreciate your guys' hard work during these tough times. Heads up. Keep your heads up, Broncos country is what he's saying. Kiki, I'm not sure. I want to be careful using whatever that handle is. I genuinely believe this isn't all on Russ. Our receivers are not good, and our O-line is horrible. I just don't believe Russ is declining. He had the best season of his career 2 years ago. That's a fair point, Zach. We're not far removed from his 40-touchdown season.
Yeah, I mean, players can decline fast, but all he had was that before Denver, that finger injury, and we all thought it was a fluke, and he moved on, and he actually posted much better stats in the final few games of his Seahawks tenure than he has to date with the Broncos. I don't know. We all thought we weren't going to get Peyton Manning, Chad. And, to the previous point about Peyton, we're never going to get Drew Brees. They're different quarterbacks. We have different standards for him, but I didn't think he falls so short of the mark where he looks like such a replaceable broken quarterback. I don't know another word other than broken.
Kalia throwing down a super chat for Theo. Very kind. Theo appreciates it. That's the first $5 that goes into his college fund. Thank you very much. She says, I'm done watching till Hackett and his do-nothing buddy is gone. Rodgers is missing them. So she's talking also about Outen and his irrelevancy here.
I think they miss Luke Getsy more than Hackett. Honestly, I think what Getsy's showing in Chicago with Justin Fields, I think he was a pretty innovative mind, and Rodgers is also breaking down. So whatever way the Broncos would have went, if they would have landed A-Rod, they would have gotten maybe a declining quarterback. If they got Russell Wilson, and now he looks like he's a declining quarterback. So that's what happens when you rent franchise quarterbacks and never draft one and develop one on your own.
Keith Flores, thank you, buddy. He says, what do you guys think about bringing in Kellen Moore, Zach? So this would be another swing on a first-time head coach. You have some knowledge on this guy. You covered him for a couple of 2-3 years, whatever it was. What do you think?
Based on what I've seen from Kellen Moore, and the Cowboys offense is pretty much humming since Dak got back, and they're utilizing all their skill position players. He puts players in good positions, and he has really innovative play calling. The thing with him, though, is the thing with Hackett is that he outsmarts himself. He gets way too cute at the worst time, and what should have been a simple, 2-yard run on 3rd and 1 becomes a shotgun with 5 wide. You don't need that overthinking. You need simple, basic, elementary football. I don't know that George Payton would go to the rookie well again. You can't fault him for VJ, but you can't fault him for Vic Fangio. You can fault Payton for Nathaniel Hackett. All of them have first-time ties. That's what binds them together. I don't think he can afford Payton to go for another first-timer.
We have another extremely generous super chat from our good friend Ethan across the pond. You're a prince, brother. Thank you so much. You know we love you, big dog. He says, Russell Wilson's take. Thank you. This is good. On his exchange with Purcell. Quote, Mike and I are on the same page. This is according to Parker Gabriel of the Denver Post. Nice. Good job citing. And this is good fundamentals.
Good
Quote,
journalizing.
he came off after he kicked the field goal and he was pissed off. He said, we've got to frickin' go. I agreed. There's no animosity. We've got to win. So it might have been something like he's coming off the field, right? And Russ says, let's go, Mike. And Mike said something like, yeah, let's freaking go, Russ. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But Russ is always going to play it down. No matter what it is, he's going to play it down. So, but yeah, this is going to make for a nice article, Zach. I've even got the tweet ready to roll for embedding. I mean, it's going to crush. Robert Otteson. Actually, your response to Ethan.
Russell didn't look that fired up from what Purcell was trying to do. Like if that was trying to light a fire or energize him, it seemed like it was just, again, frustration coming out. And I know everyone can relate to this, whether it's with your a parent or in a relationship or a child. Sometimes you scream at someone because you have so much, you're just so frustrated with them. You don't hate them. You're not angry. You're just frustrated. I think that was coming out with Mike Purcell. Again, the defense has done everything they can do up until this point to keep the Broncos afloat. And he's saying, come on, man, we're giving you another opportunity. Let's go. Show some fire. Let's get going. And it didn't work. He wasn't receptive at all. I don't know that he actually said that.
Robert, thank you, buddy. I got nothing, guys. Just sending a little love. Everyone keep supporting your priests. Team looks like the teams of the 60s. Yeah, hard to watch. Hashtag MHH. Appreciate you, bud. Matt Martinez, this game was bad, but I do understand we had lots of injuries, and I think we should get Kellen Moore and keep Ejiro Evero. Love MHH. Love from northern New Mexico. Awesome, dude. Glad. Thanks for checking in. We always love hearing where people are, right, in the world. So that's very cool. George Fox on Facebook. Russ needs to change his passes. They're too low. I know the line's not good, but neither is Russ. Denver Broncos for life. MHH for life. Yeah, well, the commentary staff, the play-by-play guys made a good comment, which is the Panthers did a good job with their game prep, even against a newer play caller of Clint Kubiak, Zach. They knew exactly where to set up to tip those passes. I don't really think it was a matter of Russ's height or his release point. It was a matter of they've become so predictable that they can just set up shop and know when to jump and tip that pass.
And this is why it also falls on Russell Wilson, because you change the play caller, you take it away from Hackett, put it in Kubiak's hands, and Russell Wilson still looks as ineffective. So it's not hard to key in on that when you know Russell Wilson's tendencies. The Panthers had a good defense coming in. We all talked about that. We thought it would be a defensive kind of slugfest like every other game is. But to not do more than 3 points and a garbage time touchdown against a team that is completely checked out on an interim coach in a half-empty home stadium, what more needs to be said? And that commentator comment chat, like you referenced, we talked about earlier, when a national broadcaster who has no bias, allegiance, loyalty to the Broncos, not being paid by them, anything, says Broncos fans deserve better. If there's ever an indictment from a non-media member, player, fan, whatever, that is the biggest one I've heard about Hackett so far.
Naj, number 3 tonight. We love you, big dog, and we look forward to seeing you again in the not-too-distant future at the next MHH meet and greet. This man is as dedicated and hardcore of a Broncos fan as I've ever met, and as locked in to this community as anybody, making the trip from back east 2 years in a row to be present for the meet and greet. We love you, big dog. He says, to me, Payton allowing Hackett to build such an inexperienced coaching staff, that's on Payton. To think we can't identify anyone on this staff to be an interim is comical. The owners must do something now to save face. I do agree with that. I don't think Nathaniel Hackett is still this team's head coach this time tomorrow, and I could be wrong. We'll see when we when we circle back for the aftermath episode, Zach. But I think that was it.
The thing is, though, most coaches, even first timers, I'm pretty sure they get to pick their own staff. their own assistants. I'm sure the GM, of course, has some input there, but it seemed like George Payton gave Nathaniel Hackett a fairly free hand, and that's not out of the norm. So it's another thing if you are a detractor right now of George Payton, you want to lump onto the list to mark against him. But again, I don't think that he could have foreseen Hackett or his hires like Butch Barry, Alton, whoever, being this catastrophically bad.
Guys, we're about out of time. We're well over the 1 hour mark, and there are fish that have to be fried. We got to get some articles up at the website. So get them in quick. We'll do our best to get to as many more as we can before we sign off for tonight. David says the equipment manager could do better than Hackett is doing right now. Fire Hackett tonight. Proud Pharisee says, low key, you guys know your stuff and should be on radio. Spot on about so many points. Yeah, we tried our hand at that. We didn't really care for it, to be frank with you.
Appreciate
Hayden,
it, though.
Yeah, thank you, bud. Hayden Presley, living in KC has been hard as a Broncos fan. Another hashtag state of being member right here. My friends and family are trying to make me a Chiefs fan, and I see how much fun they have. Yeah, it's hard. I'm sure it can be hard to resist that temptation, my friend. So kudos to you. But the good times, this too shall pass. All right. It shall pass. Kudos says, glad I slept through the game. Woke up laughing. Shake my head. You hear the phrase woke up screaming. Imagine Kudos. He's like sleeping, and then he just wakes up cackling and laughter, looks at the TV, and he goes, oh, yeah. Now I know. Kudos. Thank you.
Yeah, the Broncos were on today. What a laughing stock.
Did we get Tell It Like It Is? Low Mill, thank you. Appreciate that, my friend. Shout out to Tell It Like It Is. Threw down a very generous super chat, too. Let me see. I'm just doing one last circle back here. Mark Knapp says, can we just cut Wilson?
No.
Well, yeah, you could. And you would eat many hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, maybe not many hundreds, but you would eat. I don't have the contract right up in front of me. Lots and lots and lots of dollars in dead cap. So plus you just gave up so many draft picks, and you can't. What you're going to do is you're going to take a chance on the assumption that a different coach can get better results. Deanna, wow, throwing down tonight. So grateful. Thank you very much, my friend. She says, we need an O-line. I keep saying this. Wilson isn't playing good. Hoping for our sake we get a real coach and Wilson snaps back. Still love my Broncos, Zach, but dang.
I mean, I've been saying that at least at right tackle and maybe guard for quite a while now. They cannot keep neglecting it because it won't matter who you have back there. We just talked about the Chiefs briefly. If Mahomes was behind this Broncos O-line, I don't think it'd be all that much better. And I'm one of the bigger Mahomes fans on the planet. It's just if you can't protect the quarterback, you're not going to win many football games. So Payton learned his lesson the hard way. $250 million lesson is you have a quarterback now that you're tied to. Do everything possible to protect him. A recent example, Chad, is the Bengals with Burrow. They drafted a quarterback number 1. He got hurt because of the O-line. They went out and signed like 3 different starters that offseason. You got to do what you got to do. Same thing with Mahomes. They retooled that entire O-line after the Super Bowl. It's what you got to do when you have a franchise quarterback, even one like Russell Wilson.
Jeffrey on Facebook, I got $100 for the first reporter to ask Russ to be a team player and voluntarily restructure his contract. Well said, dude. Our producer, Mr. Producer himself, Scott Kennedy, a.k.a. Skinnedy, is doing some research for us. $107 million. That's 107,000,000 in dead cap next year for Russell Wilson. So if you cut him, that's your dead cap next year. That's almost half your freaking cap, dude. 85 million, Zach, in 2024. So there's no way the Broncos can cut Russell Wilson, guys. Just so you know, not this. I shouldn't even have to tell you this. You guys should know this. And I'm sure you do know this, but just in case that was an earnest question about can we just cut Russ, hopefully now you understand, pardon me, the realities of why you can't do that.
And something else that can't happen, that reporter will not ask that question because he'll get his credential yanked really quickly. So it's unfortunate. You know, you want to know the tough questions, the tough answers, but they don't get asked. And it's the world, the environment that we live in.
With that, guys, we got to get going. If we missed one of your super chats or star comments, forgive us. It's been a very busy chat, very explosive conversation tonight. I've had a blast talking with y'all and helping to get this stuff off our chest. We got the hormones flowing very close to the surface tonight. We're exercising the demons here on the gut reaction, but we'll be back, of course, tomorrow. We're going to do our sign-offs here.
Oh, we got
there
Tell
he
It
is.
Like It
Tell
Is.
It Like It Is.
$20 super. Thank you.
One last thing, Zach, before you do the rundown.
Mhm.
I just want to remind everybody, okay, we launched a TikTok account over the weekend. So go, I put the link in the chat. I'll do it again, and I'll even link it on our YouTube page after the fact. But go follow us, Mile High Huddle new account on TikTok, because we got some big plans for that platform moving forward.
You guys, honestly, you really are the best part of the last, for me speaking, the last 6 years. I mean, coming on here 3 nights a week after every game, every situation, incident, whatever that's going on with the Broncos, and talking with y'all, interacting with y'all. It's truly a blast, and Chad and I could not feel more blessed for having the chance to do so. So appreciate you guys always. That was, though, the gut reaction podcast of the Broncos' latest loss, this time at the hands of the Carolina Panthers. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, and myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some dope freaking merch like Chad's rocking right now, I'm rocking right now, go to huddleuppod.com and check out the inventory. I promise y'all will not be disappointed. If you haven't, please go to facebook.com/milehighhuddlepod, like that page, follow that page. And if you haven't as well, go to Apple Podcasts and leave your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some of that merch each and every month. But if anything, please, guys, as you see ticking below you, subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos country, just like you.
Amen. A shout out to all the great Super Chat superstars and star supporters tonight. So many. I don't know. We'd be on here another 15 minutes, but I'm going to do it. Okay. Maybe not 15 minutes, but Chris Chances, Diamond Rattler, Ryan Slavic, Jonathan Peterson, Deanna, Jess C., Chris Hernandez, Patriot Tex, Jourdain, the Sith Lord Mall, Wero, Ray J, Naj, love you, big dog, David Wilder, Keith Flores, Larry Wesley, Victor T., Zeus, McPeak, Luke Ellis, Simon, Fractalized, Jay, the CFO official, Chuck Wagon, Michaela Israel, Jeff Hepner, Rock Chalk Broncos, Proud Pharisee, Damian Clark Warren, Ethan, the DWI guys. Let's see, MJA2873, Kiki Bass, Robert Otteson, Matt Martinez, Hayden Presley, kudos, Kalia, or Kyla. I'm screwing it up, but thank you. Low Mill, Tell It Like It Is, and Facebook's not pulling up, but if you were a Facebook, throw down some stars if you did that today. Love you, appreciate you. We will see you tomorrow night. Don't forget to follow the new Mile High Huddle account on TikTok.
Yeah, Nacho Fernandez, appreciate the stars, man. Thank you for tuning in with us as always. Again, that was the Gut Reaction podcast. We're back on tomorrow evening with the Aftermath episode. Have a good to great rest of your Sunday if you could bear it. Put the Broncos aside. Enjoy downtime with your friends and your family. Take care, and as always, go Broncos.